The Museum of Healthcare is dedicated to telling the history of health and healthcare both in Kingston and abroad nationally. So we use Kingston as a platform to explain the stories of things like nursing, doctors, medicine, and the sort of history of that. We use Kingston as a local context, but sort of draw the story more broadly as we're going along. The Six City Tour is a dive into the secret and not so secret history of Kingston's medical past. So we tell the stories that some people know and some people don't know from the 1850s up until about the 1950s and beyond. We use some of the local buildings around here as sort of a backdrop to tell those stories.
So this building behind me here is the Anne Bailey Building. It was built in 1904 as a residence building for the nursing students of Kingston General Hospital's nursing apprenticeship program. It was purpose-built as a bit of visual propaganda because nursing at the time, 1904, was really looked down upon as a profession, and nurses didn't quite get the same level of respect that they get today.
So normally the museum during the summer season would be open to all visitors, both inside and outside, but given COVID restrictions this year, we sort of had to make some hard decisions, but we want to be able to tell the history of health and healthcare. So we figured what better way to do that instead of sort of telling the stories inside the museum than the ones outside. So we walk in and around this general area. We tell the stories of KGH, sort of its formative years. We tell the stories of sort of the medical school and how Kingston got its start in medical history.
So this building behind me here is called Summerhill. It's the first building Queen's ever owned, and back in the mid-50s, it's where the 23 medical students of the newly founded Queen's School of Medicine moved in. And over the next few decades, the Queen's students developed quite a reputation for grave robbing in Kingston.
We sort of tell stories that most people haven't heard before. So it's sort of a hidden in plain sight kind of thing. You walk past all these buildings every day, whether it's KGH or some of the Queen's School of Medicine, those sorts of things, but you never really think about the stories that are behind them. So we like to tell those stories. We tell stories about mass grave sites that are around. We tell stories about the typhus epidemic. We tell stories about the cholera epidemic. Things that have sort of been lost to time and to history. We sort of bring that back to light, and we use the walking tour and some of the buildings around here to sort of tell that story.
At this stop, we talk about some of the darkest moments of Queen's medical school. Back in the 1800s, Queen's allowed female students into their medical school as well as black students. Very ahead of their time, but both of these groups of students were also both banned at one point in time.
Sometimes we have people come into the museum or come into a tour thinking they're not going to be excited. Maybe they got dragged along by a partner or maybe their kid or something like that. But we never see anybody leave not interested. And that's such a nice thing to have working at a museum. So because we're telling those unique, interesting stories, everybody is always leaving with something to talk about, whether it's a little tiny secret that they didn't know, people who have been around the area for so long but have never really thought about the history. We sort of try and bridge both of those things. We also offer sort of two versions of the tour. We offer a regular sort of adult version of the tour, and then we offer a family-friendly version. So that includes the regular tour as it would be presented, but also interesting activities and sort of interactive elements for kids on the tour. The stories that we're telling are ones that somebody who has lived in Kingston for maybe 50 years may still not know. That's the best part about working at the Museum of Healthcare, is that you would think that the stories we're telling are common knowledge. We always think that they are, and they never are. People are always so shocked and surprised to see that. So it's great for somebody who's lived here for such a long time, maybe a nurse or a doctor at KGH even, or it's good for somebody who's just visiting Kingston for the first time, because the stories are just as interesting no matter who you are. So the tours are booked all online. They're booked through Eventbrite. You can go to our website, museumofhealthcare.ca, or just Google Museum of Healthcare. The tours are $5 each. What you get for that is you get a private guided tour with one of our tour guides. You can choose from multiple time slots throughout the day. You can choose an adult or a family-friendly tour. And like I said, it's all booked online. So just Google the Museum of Healthcare or go on our website. The length of the tour is about an hour and a half long or so, and we're happy to accommodate any requests you might have.